Humewood House Parent Center is located at 1900 Sheppard's West at Jane Street in Toronto. Since 1912, Humewood House has helped Toronto's most vulnerable single parents make their way in the world. In addition to helping give birth to healthy babies and transition into motherhood, Humewood House Parent Center provides transitional housing to young women with children.
So my name is Lanique, and I've lived at 1900 for 4 years, so my time is finito.
So I've been living here since about 3 months now.
I moved to 1900 when I was 18. I had my son Daniel, he was 8 months. Before living there, I was with my mom.
I eventually came into a spot where I needed a home for me and my children, so I ended up here. So far, how I'm liking it, it's really nice. I got to relate with women who are also mothers, you know. I see them going to school.
I had a CYW worker at my high school that I was going to at the time, and she actually recommended Humewood House.
Every woman residing here is a single parent, a single mother with 1 child, 2 children, and I think the maximum to have here is 2 or 3, I'm not sure.
The young mothers of Humewood House participated in an 8-week OJEN Youth Police Dialogues program. The participants created this video sharing their perspectives of their community with the police officers who participated in the program.
Hi, my name is Bella, and this is a video talking about the relationships between the youth, us, the young mothers at 1900 Sheppard Avenue West, aka Humewood House, and the police. What is your opinion on the police?
My opinion is that they're not safe. They're not safe for us, and them being police, they're not safe. Like I don't know, I feel like we're harmful to them and they're harmful to us, because the way a lot of people feel about the police, you automatically, when they're around, you just don't want them there. You're like, your guard is up and you're ready to attack because you feel like they're
It's
maybe
because
some of them
they're
aren't
so
like
quick
that,
to
you know.
turn the situation into something it's really not.
I don't hate
like
the
I know
cops.
you get paid. No
I don't
offense,
dislike the cops
to find something going on, but at the same time,
I don't know. I would never tell somebody.
I feel like they do the most to find something that's going on when there's nothing really going on. For example, if you see a teenage boy driving, they're stopped a lot for no reason. A lot. And it's racial profiling, but they'll never say it.
Whenever I see the way they deal with like young black men, like I'm just like, I get so angry and like anxiety because like I know how it can end. Like, you know what I mean? Like I know that it doesn't, even if they think someone did something, they go into a situation like just like you said, like they just go into, they don't care. Like
to be honest, I feel like sometimes police abuse their authority when like we're humans, you're human. I understand you're doing your job and that's what you're supposed to do, but at the same time, you're supposed to, I'm supposed to have faith in you. I'm supposed to, if something's going on in my house or like I don't feel safe at any moment, I'm supposed to run to you guys. But how am I gonna run if I feel like you guys are gonna make me the suspect?
They would just show up at our door, they would kick in our doors, like they'll handcuff you and have you outside in like the freezing cold to search your house. And even when they find nothing, they still make you look like, you know, a criminal, right? Especially because of our skin tone and where we're from, they just turn, I don't know, like we're loving people, but they made it seem like we are all just criminal.
But when you open your mouth, they also see your personality, etiquette, how you respond
but you're
to
scared.
them
You're
too.
in a certain situation. You're not yourself. You're not the person that you normally are. You're not gonna be smiling and happy. It's not gonna be a good interaction. Like you're not gonna be able to know how to speak because you're scared of what just happened to you. You know what I'm trying to say? It's just I had too much negative interaction with the cops, and maybe in the future if that ends up changing, that's one thing. But until then, I just have negative.
I have points for
opinions on them.
improvement with the cops.
Yeah. They could improve. They're like regular human beings where we make mistakes and we come back from them.
Every police interaction should be positive like that. Police should respond to you no matter what the scenario or situation is. The problem is that they don't. They respond ineffectively. When sometimes people just want someone to be an advocate for them, be on their side. Right? Not allowed to ask.
Like, talk to us. Don't talk at us. It's a regular conversation where I'm a human being. You're a human being, whether you're doing your job or not.
Yeah.
You don't need to be just rude and disrespectful. Every human needs respect no matter what. Like, I would never disrespect a police officer, but at the same time, I would never want to be disrespected either.
Welcome back to Humewood House. This evening, we are continuing our discussion with youth and police. We are joined today by Officer Jen and Officer Milton from the Toronto Police Services.
Hello.
Hello. How do you personally feel about the relationship the police have with the Jane and Sheppard community? And do you think it is in a good place?
Well, for me, I don't have a specific view in terms of the policing and the Jane and Sheppard, Jane and Finch community, but I do know that there are certain communities that are marginalized, and there seems to be a stigmatic type of view within those communities, and most of it is how the media portrays it. I myself comes from a marginalized community. I grew up at Gilder Drive. I grew up at 399 Markham Road, which is the Markham and Eglinton area. So I'm used to being marginalized, in that regards. As a matter of fact, I grew up running from the police. Not because I was a criminal or did anything wrong. I grew up running from the police because I was afraid of the police.
My viewpoint is a little bit different because I didn't grow up in Toronto, but I have worked in the city and I've lived in different parts of the city, and I've worked in a division close to here, 12th Division. So I'm familiar with the communities and what it's like to live there. And I can't say I've lived there because I haven't, but working in those communities, I get to go into people's homes all the time and see where they're living and what their situations are.
I'll tell you straight up, as much as sometimes you may have a negative view of officers to some degree, not everybody, some officers also have a negative view of the community and the youth and the community that they work in. And a lot of the time it's not necessarily because they hate the community, they're not familiar with the people in the community. And I think that sometimes, and this may be something we can look at in the future, officers that become officers, sometimes I think should do certain placement within some of those communities first, prior to becoming police officers, to understand. Because I've spoken to recruits and spoke to them about certain communities, and they were fearful of that community. You can't serve a community correctly if you're fearful of that community.
Also, so we notice we don't see regular police programs in our community. Do we have any community police programs that we are unaware of? Why or why not?
At one point, I actually went on the website for 31 Division, which is the division that you situated for you guys here. And I went on their Facebook site and so on and so forth, trying to figure out what it is that they have geared towards the youth within the community or just in general. I didn't see much advertised on the website. And I was going to call the division and say, what do you have for youth? But I thought to myself, well, if I can't find it as such, and you're not aware of it, then we're not doing a good enough job advertising it. So what my proposition would be, and I thought to myself, instead of phoning them, speaking to them directly and says what it is, so on and so forth, I'm thinking to myself, perhaps it's something we can explore together. Maybe after this program, some other times, whether you want someone to accompany you, go to the division, and speak to the liaison there for the communities. What programs do you have in this division that's geared towards youth, or the community in general that can benefit yourselves or others in the community that you know?
The Toronto Police Service introduced the Toronto Anti-Violence Intervention Strategy, TAVIS, in 2006 to respond to a spike in gun violence in the Toronto area. TAVIS is an intensive community mobilization strategy intended to reduce crime and increase safety in targeted Toronto neighborhoods through high visibility policing.
How do you feel about the TAVIS program? Did you agree with the way the program went? And what do you have to say about it, about its outcomes on marginalized communities?
For me, and this is based on feedback from the community itself, initially the TAVIS program I thought was a great initiative. In terms of its execution, I'm not certain if the people within the community felt it was executed properly. And part of that reason, from my perspective, and I remember in 43 Division having community meetings meeting with superintendents, the community together, and there was a lot of outrage. And I'll be honest with you, some of the outrage came from myself. Now, the TAVIS in itself, I thought itself was a great initiative. The execution, and I'll get back to the execution, where the community feedback was negative, is sometimes I think how the officers involved in the program approach members of the community left a lot to be desired. It was not necessarily a friendly approach, and sometimes having the wrong officers in those situations was detrimental, because here we have officers that were in the community doing great work, building up the community, and then some officers came down and tore that down. Now, we're trying to move beyond that and go to better. But I'm just going to give an example. Say, for instance, now someone involved in the TAVIS program came into a building. We came there and because the community wanted us. So what they're saying is there's crime. We want the police to help stem some of that crime. But it was supposed to be working together, not the police coming in, taking over, and absolving crime. You wanted to have an interdependence working and moving towards independent with the community called upon us just in certain situations. Now, when TAVIS came in, I'm going to give an example. Someone came to a building, just an example. Miss, do you live here? Let me see identification. You don't have identification, I'm going to arrest you for trespassing. Where's your identification? That's an example. Now, what I'm saying is when you take that approach, sometimes it's negative and that interaction is not good. As opposed to, Miss, how are you? My name is Milton, I'm officer of the Toronto Police Service. I've just seen you. We've been asked to be part of this community. There's certain crimes here. You may or may not live here. I'd like to see some identification just to verify whether you live here or not, or if you don't live here, who you're going to visit, and so we can somehow work together. Next time I see you, I may not ask you anything because now I'm getting to know you. So, and then if we start on that premise and then start to visit the community more often, getting to know who are the individuals within the community, building that trust, then you move on from there. After a while, individuals within the community will be telling you who ought to be there and who ought not to be there. But you'll never get that until that trust is built. So unfortunately, I don't think we took the time to build the trust, and some people who were involved in the program were voluntold. I'm going to be straight up. Some of them may not have wanted to be in that program. I think in terms of the TAVIS program, what it allowed us to do is to learn from certain mistakes. It wasn't executed, to the best, and learning from that, we can move on. And now the new integration in terms of community engagement and the model that's now being pursued, is going to be much better, much more interactive, much more collaborative, and moving forward, it will be much better than how it had been.
As an officer, have you witnessed other officers doing such things as racial profiling, using excessive force, or just acting unusually towards an individual or group based on demographics such as race, ethnicity, and age?
I've only worked with one person that I felt like she always had a way of doing things, and I didn't want to work with her anymore. So if someone was like that, I wouldn't want to work with them because they didn't have the same view of policing or the way of doing things as I would do. So thankfully, there's enough police officers that I don't have to work with that person. And some police officers may not realize they're doing what they're doing. They just think that that's the way they should do it.
So there's some great individual officers. I've also worked with a few or been around a few that didn't model what we model, what the police service want them to model, and what most officers model. I remember once driving in a car and this person is no longer with the service. So I may touch upon a few things where the people are no longer here, and some of them are no longer here because of how they were as individual and the service didn't accept that kind of treatment of community. I remember driving with one officer, and there was a black man beside us in a nice car. I don't remember what kind of car it was, but it was a really nice car. He looked young, and he turned to me and he said, he's either an entertainer or an athlete.
So you couldn't be a lawyer, a doctor like us.
And for me, right then and there, it said to me, wow, you're saying that to me as a black person, as a black officer. And in my mind, I had already drawn the conclusion. I guarantee if I wasn't there and there was another officer that's sitting there that reflected his color, he would have said, that guy's probably a drug dealer.
Yeah, I know, I was waiting for that.
But he wasn't going to say that to me. So that's a situation, and that was that individual's mentality, but not reflective of all police officers. So there are some racial profiling. There are some officers who behave incorrectly. We can't run away from it. We can't hide it. We have to own it. But what we're saying is it's not reflexive of what the Toronto Police Service motto is, to serve and to protect, and how we want to engage the community. So all of that exists, but it's in a minor fashion, and we want to kind of eradicate all of that.
How much authority do you think you have as a police officer?
Okay, I'll go first. As a police officer, we do have a lot of authority. It's just part of our job where we swear to uphold the law. There's lots of different laws and rules that we have to uphold. So it's a great responsibility. So we do have a lot of authority, and it's how we use that authority that is the difference, right?
Exactly.
So you use the authority and your powers for the right reasons, and you should have no issues. I guess when it comes to communities, when police officers overstretch that authority and do the wrong thing, or use their authorities for the wrong reason, that's when people become upset.
Yeah,
and
naturally.
Yeah, naturally. So for me personally, I take those authorities very seriously and use my authorities when it's necessary, and as everyone else.
But not a lot of police officers see it the way you guys do.
No.
That's what we're trying to change.
We're trying to change.
That's what we're trying to change.
Because sometimes police officers come into a situation blindly and come in with authority, for sure, you guys do have a job that you guys need to do, but at the same time, when you guys are coming into a situation and you guys don't ask questions from the both sides, you just hear the person who called the police, and some people who are innocent are getting in trouble for no reason because you weren't the person who called first.
Yeah.
I've been out there before, and I've seen individuals come up, and there's noise going on, there's chatter, and somebody may already have their hand on their gun.
Yeah.
Because it's fear. Now, I come up in that same situation, my hand's on my gun, but I rest my elbow. Because I need to know where that is at all time. And I don't want no one to pull it out because it's detrimental to myself. I have to make sure that I'm safe. When my elbow's there, my hand is as such, because I don't want to be this, because I've seen hands on here, and I pan the crowd.
Exactly.
And I see the reaction of the crowd when the hand is on the handle of the gun. And I see the disapproval. I'm thinking to myself, my friends, can't you see that? So I have those conversations with my officers, with my colleagues. And that's why we're here. That's what we're trying to do, and have that conversation with you. And what we're trying to figure out is for you to tell us how we can engage you better.
Yeah.
What do we need to do? So those are some of the things that we're trying to figure out, because no longer can we have conversations where it's one-sided.
Yeah.
And one of my frustration when I was in 43 Division sometimes is, and as I said, it was a great division, I had some great times there. Sometimes when I took the community's frustration back to our powers that be as such, sometimes they viewed as, are you angry? Are you, no, but this is what the people is feeling. So if I'm a community school liaison officer, and it's my job to take your message to the community, then you ought to allow me the same latitude to take their message back to you.
Exactly.
And exactly how it is on the street. So it can't be a one-way dialogue. And that's why we have this engagement.
So that leads nicely into our question for you is, what can we do better as the police to make you feel more comfortable when in contact with us?
Don't talk at us, talk to us.
Effective communication.
Exactly.
Definitely, the tone of voice is a big thing too, because if you're coming aggressive, it's just like, I don't really want to, you're automatically defensive,
Yeah.
And that's just going to lead to a whole negative.
And nobody wants to.
Yeah, no.
It's the way we're spoken to. That we're very defensive right after you ask us certain
Naturally,
questions.
those,
For example, if we were interacting with you guys, the cops, you guys, we obviously have to be respectful, right? So I feel like the same should be to us, because even though you guys have authority, respect, you give it to somebody it's given. For example, if I respect you, I would like to be respected back.
Yeah.
That's just a natural human instinct.
goes both ways.
So even though police have natural, like, you guys have authority, just don't use like your authority for something it doesn't need. You said that authority is good for when it's necessary, which is very agreed. But a lot of police officers don't do that. They use it with their tone and the way they speak to people. They don't talk to us. They talk at you, and that just makes you very defensive right off the bat, and it just makes it a bad negative interaction.
Yeah, I think for some police officers, it's very difficult to turn that authority off so that they could talk. So I absolutely agree with you. Yeah. Talking to you, I'll get a lot more out of you than if I talked at you.
Exactly.
And I totally agree with that.
Definitely come in like open-minded in any situation, because you never know, right? Just because one person's acting hysterical doesn't mean, they were like the aggressor, you know what I mean? Or like you just never know what the situation is. So as long as you're coming in open-minded and you're listening to all sides of the story, I think that would be effective as well.
Exactly.
I like it.
Do you have a question for them?
My question, well, I think time is running out, but the question I was going to ask is, what is your perception of how you're perceived by the police in your community? What's your perception of how you are perceived?
Being in this building, I feel like we're often frowned upon.
Teenagers who got pregnant.
Make bad choices. So they're automatically wrong.
Yeah.
They're in this situation. Yeah.
I think it's there's more of a negative view living here.
Now the thing of the matter is, how do you perceive yourselves in the community?
I think we're very respectful women who took responsibility of what was going on. Like, for example, the ball was thrown at us at a young age. We got pregnant when we were young, and we're working hard. We're going to school. We're doing stuff that a lot of people our age are not doing. We're living alone. We're buying our groceries.
People that are older than us.
Exactly.
It's just like we're still.
Even though
our
communities may sometimes frown upon us because we're young teenagers who've had kids, we're still doing what we need to do at the end of the day. We're always grinding. We're always trying to make ourselves better, make our community better. I feel like we're the new generation coming out, and our kids are gonna be the newer generation, and we're making our kids, we're showing them that no matter what ball has been thrown at you, you can do it no matter what.
We definitely deserve the same respect.
My mom had me at 17, and I wouldn't trade my mom having me young for nothing in the world. And she looked after 3 of us in community housing, and we all came out fine. None of us in trouble with the law. She patted my ass a couple of times when I was young, though.
But we do need to be given that chance, right? Because I noticed, having kids at a young age and then living sometimes in certain communities, it's just like we don't get it as easy, as other people, and we don't have the help that, some other people do. So it's just like, give respect where it's due.
But you asked, how do we view ourselves? I think that I'm kind. I think that I'm smart. I think that I'm goal-oriented. Exactly. And I think that I could do anything that I would put my mind to. So I view myself positively. Me doing this program is a commitment, right? That's a goal. That's an achievement. I'm getting something done. So put aside, young mother. Put aside race. Look at me past that, and you're gonna see me positively. So I view myself positively.
And I love it.
Well said,
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Awesome.
That's how I see you.